Have you ever felt like you're running in circles, chasing happiness but never quite reaching it? Why does it feel so hard to find peace in a world that's constantly moving? What if the answers you've been seeking aren't out there but within you? Imagine this. You're carrying a glass of water. It's not heavy at first, but as you hold it longer, it starts to feel unbearable. Life's struggles are just like that. They weigh you down over time. The question is, how do you put the glass down? Welcome to Wisdom Woven. This is a space where we explore ancient teachings and timeless wisdom to help you become your best self. But before we dive in, I have a quick question for you. Did you know that there are so many views on this channel, yet only 0.2% of viewers actually subscribe? If you're enjoying this content, make a difference right now. Like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us grow and share more meaningful insights with you. Buddhism teaches that the path to becoming your best self begins with understanding the mind. In this part, we'll uncover how small changes in thinking can lead to big transformations. Life is full of distractions and challenges, but you hold the power to rise above them. Through awareness and wisdom, you can break free from the patterns that hold you back. The journey ahead will challenge you to reflect, question, and grow, but it will also reward you with clarity, peace, and a sense of purpose. The teachings we explore today have guided millions for centuries, and now they can guide you too. So, stay with us as we take this first step together. Are you ready to awaken to your best self? Let's begin. Understanding the nature of suffering, the first step to growth. Have you ever asked yourself, why does life feel so difficult sometimes? It seems like no matter how hard we try, we still encounter pain, loss, and disappointment. And even when we find moments of joy, there's always this feeling that something is missing, that something is always just out of reach. In Buddhism, this feeling is acknowledged as part of the nature of life itself. But why is it this way? And how can we deal with it? The Buddha, over 2,000 years ago, taught that suffering is a fundamental part of human existence. This doesn't mean that life is always painful or that happiness is impossible, but rather, it's an understanding of life as it truly is. The truth of suffering, or dukkha, is not just about the big, obvious pains like illness, loss, or grief. It's also about the little frustrations we experience every day, like waiting in line, dealing with traffic, or struggling with our own thoughts and emotions. This suffering is woven into the very fabric of our existence, and understanding it is the first step toward growth. Imagine a seed planted in the soil. It begins as something small, hidden beneath the surface, but over time, it grows. Just like that seed, we often grow through suffering. The Buddha saw suffering as a part of our journey, a catalyst for change, growth, and ultimately, wisdom. If we simply try to avoid suffering, we end up denying ourselves the opportunity to grow. It's through facing life's difficulties head-on that we learn more about ourselves and the world around us. But why do we suffer? According to Buddhism, suffering comes from three main causes: attachment, ignorance, and craving. These are the root causes of all the pain we experience. We become attached to things, people, or ideas, and when they change or fade away, we feel a deep sense of loss. We also experience suffering because we don't fully understand the nature of reality. We think that things are permanent, stable, and unchanging, but in truth, everything is in a constant state of flux. This ignorance leads to dissatisfaction. Lastly, we crave things, whether it's material possessions, success, or even approval from others. This constant wanting keeps us from being truly at peace. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a new phone, a car, even a relationship. You worked hard for it, you dreamed about it, and when you finally got it, there was a brief moment of happiness. But then, that happiness faded, and you started wanting something else. That's the cycle of craving. It never ends. The Buddha said that craving is like trying to fill a bucket with water that has a hole in it. It's impossible to truly satisfy the desire, no matter how much we try. Now, you might be wondering, if suffering is such a big part of life, how do I ever find happiness? This is where Buddhist teachings offer a way out. The Buddha didn't just acknowledge suffering. He also gave us the tools to understand it and overcome it. By recognizing the causes of suffering and learning how to free ourselves from attachment, ignorance, and craving, we can experience a deeper form of peace, one that isn't dependent on the outside world. This is the path to true freedom. Let's break it down further. The first step in understanding suffering is recognizing that life is full of change. Everything you see, touch, and feel is in constant motion. People change, seasons change, even your thoughts and emotions change. Nothing stays the same forever. But we often forget this truth. We get attached to people, places, and experiences, believing that they will last forever. This creates a sense of security and comfort, but when change comes, as it always does, we feel threatened. We resist change, hoping that things will stay the same. But the more we try to hold on, the more we suffer. Take a moment to reflect. Is there something in your life that you're holding on to too tightly? Maybe it's a past relationship, a job, or an ideal of how you want your life to be. Now, think about how you'd feel if that thing changed or disappeared. Do you feel fear, anxiety, or sadness? These emotions are natural, but they are also a reminder of your attachment. The more we attach ourselves to things, the more we risk suffering when those things change. But attachment doesn't just come from external things, it also arises from within. We become attached to ideas about who we are, what we should be, and how others should behave. We create stories in our minds about the world, and when those stories don't match reality, we suffer. We expect people to treat us in certain ways, and when they don't, we feel hurt or betrayed. We expect life to be easy and smooth, and when it's not, we become frustrated or angry. But all of these reactions are based on attachments to how we think things should be. This is where the practice of mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness helps us become aware of our attachments and our reactions to them. When you are mindful, you start to see these patterns in your mind more clearly. You notice when you're clinging to an idea or resisting a change. With practice, you can learn to let go of these attachments and accept things as they are. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means being at peace with the flow of life, even when it's uncomfortable. Let's also talk about ignorance. The Buddha taught that ignorance, or avidya, is another root cause of suffering. We often don't see things as they truly are. We don't see the impermanence of life, the interconnectedness of all beings, or the nature of our own minds. We live in a state of illusion, thinking that the world is permanent and stable, but in truth, everything is always changing. This ignorance leads us to make decisions based on false beliefs, which creates more suffering. Consider a time when you thought something would bring you lasting happiness, maybe a possession, a status, or an experience. You believed that once you had it, your life would be perfect. But once you got it, you realized that the happiness was temporary. This is an example of how ignorance shapes our desires. We don't see the truth behind our cravings, and as a result, we're left unfulfilled. The third cause of suffering is craving. Craving isn't just about wanting things. It's about the deeper desire to control the world around us. We want things to be a certain way, and when they aren't, we suffer. The more we crave, the more we push ourselves further away from peace. Craving creates a cycle of dissatisfaction. We achieve one desire, only to find another one rising in its place. This endless wanting keeps us trapped in a state of never being truly satisfied. But here's the good news. Once we understand the nature of suffering, we can begin to work with it. We don't have to fight suffering or try to avoid it. Instead, we can learn to see it as an opportunity for growth. Every time we experience pain or discomfort, we have a chance to examine our attachments, our ignorance, and our cravings. We can ask ourselves, what am I clinging to? What am I not seeing clearly? What do I truly need in this moment? By facing suffering with mindfulness and wisdom, we can begin to dissolve the causes of pain. We learn that we don't have to hold on to everything tightly. We can let go of our attachments, see the truth of impermanence, and reduce our cravings. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. It means we cultivate a deeper understanding of life, one that brings peace and freedom. The first step on the path to growth is acknowledging that suffering is real, but not something to fear or avoid. It's a part of the journey, and through understanding and wisdom, we can transform it into a tool for personal growth. So, the next time you face a challenge, remember, it's not the challenge itself that causes suffering, it's your attachment to how things should be. By letting go of that attachment, you can free yourself from suffering and begin your journey toward a deeper, more peaceful existence. The Four Noble Truths, a roadmap to inner peace. The path to understanding your true nature and becoming your best self begins with grasping the Four Noble Truths. These truths are like the map to a journey. Without them, you might wander in confusion, unsure of where you're headed. But with them, you have a clear direction. These truths offer us a deep understanding of life, guiding us toward lasting peace, happiness, and freedom from suffering. So, what are the Four Noble Truths? Let's begin with the first one. Suffering exists. We all know what suffering is. Physical pain, emotional distress, fear, loss, and disappointment. It's an unavoidable part of human life. We experience it in many ways, from the smallest inconveniences to the greatest tragedies. The Buddha didn't teach that suffering is something we can avoid, but rather that it's a natural part of life. When we accept suffering, we stop trying to run away from it. We can start to face it head-on and learn how to manage it. Suffering doesn't just appear randomly, though. It's often the result of our attachment to things, our desires, our possessions, even our ideas about who we should be. In fact, the second noble truth, the cause of suffering is desire, points to how our cravings and attachments lead to dissatisfaction. We want things to stay the same. We want people to behave in certain ways, and we want to control what happens to us. But life is constantly changing, and trying to hold on to something that is not meant to stay only brings us pain. Desire doesn't just mean wanting material things. It includes the desire for control, for approval, for security, and for comfort. Whenever we desire something too much, we create an inner conflict. We can't always get what we want, and even if we do, it doesn't guarantee that we'll feel fulfilled. For example, you might get a promotion at work, but soon enough, you'll want something else. The cycle continues, leaving you feeling restless and unfulfilled. This constant craving is the root cause of suffering. But the Buddha didn't just teach us about suffering and its cause. He also shared the third noble truth. There is an end to suffering. This is the hopeful part of the teaching. It's not just that suffering exists and comes from our desires. It's that we have the power to stop the cycle. By letting go of attachment, by releasing our grip on things and expectations, we can find freedom. True peace comes when we stop chasing after fleeting desires and instead focus on what truly matters. Living in the present moment. Imagine you're holding a heavy bag. At first, it feels manageable, but as you continue to carry it, the weight becomes unbearable. If you don't let go of it, you'll be stuck with that weight forever. This is how attachment works. When you let go, you're free. It's the same with desires and attachments in life. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring about life, but you stop obsessing over the things that don't serve your true well-being. You start to understand that true happiness isn't found in external things, but within yourself. The fourth noble truth, then, is the way to end suffering. It's the Noble Eightfold Path, a guide for living that leads to enlightenment and peace. This path is a practical guide, a way of living that aligns our actions, thoughts, and intentions with wisdom and compassion. It's not just about meditating or being mindful. It's about living in a way that brings harmony to every aspect of your life. The Eightfold Path is made up of 8 practices that can be grouped into 3 main categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Let's look at each of them. Right understanding. This is about seeing things as they really are. It's about understanding the Four Noble Truths deeply and seeing the world clearly. It's easy to get caught up in illusion, to believe that everything in life is permanent, or that our desires will bring us lasting happiness. But with right understanding, you begin to see through these illusions and understand the true nature of existence. The more you understand, the more peace you find. Right intentions. This is about having the right motivations. If your intentions are pure, your actions will follow suit. Right intention means having thoughts and desires that are based on kindness, love, and wisdom. It's about letting go of harmful thoughts like anger, greed, or jealousy and replacing them with thoughts that lead to peace. Right speech. Our words have power. The way we speak affects our own mind and the minds of others. Right speech means speaking truthfully, kindly, and helpfully. It means avoiding gossip, lies, harsh words, and divisive speech. When we speak with wisdom and compassion, we build trust and understanding with others. Right action. Our actions shape our character and our life. Right action means living ethically, doing no harm, and acting with kindness and respect toward all living beings. It means avoiding behaviors that cause suffering to others, such as stealing, killing, or acting in ways that harm the environment. Right livelihood. This is about choosing work that is ethical and aligned with your values. Right livelihood means earning a living in a way that does not harm others or the world. Whether you're a teacher, a doctor, or a business person, your work should contribute to the well-being of others. Right effort. Change takes effort, but the effort should be wise and balanced. Right effort means trying to cultivate good qualities like kindness and compassion, while also letting go of harmful habits like anger and attachment. It's about making continuous progress toward becoming the best version of yourself. Right mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment, without distraction or judgment. Right mindfulness means paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and being aware of how they affect you and others. It's about living in the moment, rather than constantly thinking about the past or worrying about the future. Right concentration. This is the practice of focusing the mind in a way that leads to deep insight and peace. Right concentration often involves meditation, where you train your mind to focus on a single object, thought, or feeling. Through concentration, you develop mental clarity and understanding. By following the Noble Eightfold Path, you begin to untangle the knots of your desires, attachments, and suffering. It's not an easy path, but it's one that leads to true happiness and inner peace. And unlike external sources of pleasure, the peace you find on this path is deep and lasting. The Four Noble Truths offer us the understanding we need to navigate life's challenges. By recognizing the reality of suffering, understanding its cause, realizing it can end, and following the Eightfold Path, we can awaken to a life of meaning and peace. It's a journey of transformation, a journey back to your true self. So, as we move forward on this journey, remember that the Four Noble Truths are not just abstract ideas, they are practical, life-changing insights. They are tools that can help you find peace in the middle of chaos and joy in the midst of suffering. This is the power of Buddhist wisdom. It's not just philosophy. It's a path to a better life. The Noble Eightfold Path. Actions that transform. To live a peaceful and fulfilling life, we must first understand how our actions shape our experiences. In Buddhism, the Noble Eightfold Path is a guide, an 8-step process that leads to the cessation of suffering and the attainment of enlightenment. It's not a set of rules but a way of living, a path that helps us navigate the complexities of life. And though it might seem like a lot to take in, it's built around simplicity. It's about how we think, speak, act, and live each day. Let's break it down together. The first step of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view. Right view is seeing things as they really are. It's understanding the nature of reality, the impermanence of life, and the truth that all things are interconnected. Right view is like wearing a pair of glasses that help you see clearly. Imagine you've been walking around with blurry vision your whole life. You might think you understand things, but your perception is clouded. When you put on the glasses of right view, everything becomes sharper, clearer, and more truthful. You start to see beyond your likes, dislikes, and prejudices. You begin to understand that all suffering arises from attachment and desire, and that everything in life is in constant change. The second step is right intention. Right intention is about aligning your thoughts with wisdom, compassion, and non-attachment. It's the mindset you adopt before you take any action. In the busy world we live in, it's easy to be driven by the desire to get ahead, to be successful, or to please others. But right intention asks us to think deeper. It asks us to reflect on our inner motivations. Are we acting from a place of selfishness, greed, or fear? Or are we motivated by kindness, patience, and a wish to reduce suffering for others? When our intentions are pure, our actions naturally follow suit. Now, let's talk about right speech. Right speech is all about how we communicate with the world. Words can heal or hurt, inspire or destroy. Think of the last time someone said something kind to you. How did it make you feel? Now, think of a time when someone's words caused you pain. Our speech has immense power. Right speech encourages us to speak truthfully, avoid gossip, and refrain from harsh or divisive words. It asks us to use our words to build, to inspire, and to create peace. When we speak with intention and kindness, we contribute to a more harmonious world. The fourth step is right action. Right action is about living ethically and making choices that support the well-being of ourselves and others. It's the practice of doing what is right, not just for us, but for the world around us. Right action means refraining from harmful behaviors, such as killing, stealing, and lying, and instead choosing actions that nurture life, love, and harmony. Every day, we make choices. Some are small, others are significant, but all of them impact our lives and the lives of those around us. Right action encourages us to live with integrity and compassion, making choices that reflect our highest values. Next is right livelihood. Right livelihood is about earning a living in a way that doesn't harm others. It's a reminder that our work should not contribute to the suffering of living beings or the environment. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle of career, money, and status. But right livelihood asks us to pause and reflect. Does our work bring benefit to society? Does it promote peace, justice, and sustainability? By choosing a livelihood that aligns with our values, we live in harmony with the world around us. The sixth step is right effort. Right effort is the energy we put into cultivating good qualities and abandoning negative ones. It's not about forcing or struggling, but about steady, consistent practice. Just as a gardener waters their plants every day, we must make a daily effort to nurture positive qualities like compassion, patience, and wisdom, while letting go of qualities like anger, greed, and jealousy. Right effort is the commitment to improve ourselves, to grow, and to transform. But it's also about understanding that change takes time. We need to be patient with ourselves, just as a tree takes years to grow. Next, we have right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is the practice of being present, of being fully aware of what's happening in the moment. It's easy to get lost in the past or the future, to dwell on things that can't be changed or worry about things that haven't yet happened. Right mindfulness invites us to focus on the present, to notice our thoughts, emotions, and actions with awareness. It's about living fully in the here and now. Imagine you're eating a meal. Instead of rushing through it, thinking about your to-do list or the day ahead, you focus on the taste, the texture, and the experience of eating. That's mindfulness. When we practice right mindfulness, we start to see things as they are, without judgment or attachment. We can let go of distractions and connect more deeply with ourselves and others. The last step is right concentration. Right concentration is the practice of focusing the mind, developing deep concentration through meditation. In today's fast-paced world, our attention is pulled in 1,000 different directions. But when we practice right concentration, we learn to quiet the mind, to focus on a single point, and to cultivate mental clarity. Through meditation, we can train our minds to stay calm and centered, no matter what's happening around us. This concentration brings peace, clarity, and insight, allowing us to see things more clearly and make wiser choices. Together, these 8 steps form the Noble Eightfold Path, a roadmap that helps us live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. It's not about reaching a destination quickly. It's about the journey, the small, daily actions we take that lead us to greater wisdom, compassion, and peace. Every step on the path is an opportunity to improve, to transform, and to become the best version of ourselves. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Each day, we can practice one step, reflect on it, and try again. The Noble Eightfold Path is not a theory. It's a practical guide for living a life of meaning, peace, and happiness. It's a path that anyone can walk, no matter where they are in life. Mindfulness and meditation. The art of being present. In the busy pace of life, how often do we stop to truly be? How many moments pass by without us fully experiencing them? We rush through the day, constantly thinking about the past or worrying about the future. And yet, we miss the beauty of the present moment. What if the key to happiness and peace isn't somewhere far away, but right here, in the present? This is where mindfulness and meditation come in. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment with full awareness. It's not just about noticing what's happening around you, but also being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and sensations. Meditation, on the other hand, is the tool that helps you develop this awareness. When you meditate, you train your mind to stay focused, to let go of distractions, and to be fully present with whatever is happening at this very moment. The mind has a natural tendency to wander. We think about the past, we worry about the future, and we often get lost in our thoughts. But the more we practice mindfulness, the more we begin to notice when our minds drift. And when we notice, we can gently bring our attention back to the present. This simple act of returning to the now is incredibly powerful. Let's take an example. Imagine you're sitting in a park, enjoying the quiet. The breeze is soft, and the sunlight filters through the trees. If you're mindful, you'll notice the sensation of the wind on your skin, the sound of the leaves rustling, the warmth of the sun. You'll be aware of everything around you and within you. But if you're not mindful, you'll be lost in your thoughts, maybe thinking about your work, your to-do list, or something that happened earlier in the day. You'll miss the experience of being in the park. You'll miss the moment itself. Mindfulness is like waking up from a deep sleep. It's about being truly aware of your surroundings and your own inner experience. In Buddhism, mindfulness is often described as the first step toward enlightenment. It helps you see things clearly, without the cloudiness of past experiences or future anxieties. It allows you to connect with life as it truly is. Meditation is how we cultivate mindfulness. Meditation doesn't mean sitting in silence for hours or trying to empty your mind. It simply means taking a moment to focus. You can meditate by sitting, walking, or even just breathing. The key is to pay attention, gently and without judgment. If your mind wanders, you simply bring it back, again and again. Over time, this practice of returning to the present moment begins to change your mind. You begin to feel more peaceful, more centered, and more connected to the world around you. But mindfulness isn't just something we do in meditation. It's something we can practice every moment of the day. You can be mindful while eating, while walking, while talking to someone, or even while doing household chores. Instead of rushing through tasks, try to be fully present in them. Feel the texture of the food. Hear the sound of your footsteps. Notice the feelings in your body as you work. The more you practice mindfulness in everyday life, the more you begin to experience a sense of calm and clarity. The benefits of mindfulness are profound. Studies have shown that it reduces stress, improves concentration, and even boosts your immune system. But beyond the scientific benefits, mindfulness helps you live a more fulfilling life. It brings you closer to who you truly are. It helps you realize that you are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your circumstances. You are the awareness behind them. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness is closely tied to the concept of non-attachment. When you are mindful, you begin to realize that everything is impermanent. Your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, they come and go. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to let go of the need to control them. You learn to be present without clinging to any particular moment. You begin to accept things as they are, without judgment or resistance. This doesn't mean you stop caring about life or stop making plans. It simply means you approach life with a sense of openness. You accept things as they come, knowing that everything is constantly changing. You begin to find peace in the flow of life, rather than struggling against it. Meditation is also about cultivating inner peace. The world outside can be chaotic and noisy, but when you meditate, you create a space of stillness within yourself. You can return to this space whenever you need it. It's like having an inner sanctuary where you can rest and recharge. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to access this peace, even when life gets challenging. There are many different types of meditation, but they all share a common goal: to help you develop mindfulness. Some forms of meditation involve focusing on your breath, others on a mantra or sound. Some involve visualization, and others involve simply observing your thoughts without getting attached to them. There's no one right way to meditate. What matters is that you find a practice that works for you. One powerful meditation practice is called loving kindness meditation, or metta meditation. In this practice, you focus on sending love and good wishes to yourself and to others. You start by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I live with ease." Then, you extend these wishes to others, even those you may not get along with. This practice helps to cultivate compassion and empathy, and it also helps to calm the mind. Another simple meditation practice is to focus on your breath. Sit quietly and pay attention to your breath as it enters and leaves your body. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to your breath. This practice can be done anywhere, whether you're at home, at work, or even while waiting in line. It's a way to center yourself and reconnect with the present moment. Mindfulness and meditation are not just practices, they are ways of being. They are tools to help you live a more peaceful, more intentional life. They are ways to break free from the distractions and anxieties of daily life and to connect with the deeper truths within yourself. In Buddhism, the goal of mindfulness and meditation is to attain nirvana, a state of ultimate peace and freedom. But even if you don't reach nirvana, the practice of mindfulness will help you experience more peace, more clarity, and more happiness. It will help you become more aware of your true nature and your connection to the world around you. So, how do you start? Start small. Set aside just a few minutes each day to practice mindfulness or meditation. Find a quiet space, focus on your breath, and simply be present. Over time, you will begin to notice the changes in your mind and in your life. You will begin to experience the profound peace that comes with being fully present in the moment. And remember, mindfulness is a journey, not a destination. It's about progress, not perfection. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up, be present, and allow yourself to grow. As you continue on your path, remember that the key to mindfulness and meditation is not about achieving something. It's about letting go. Let go of the need to control, the need to rush, the need to be anywhere other than right here. When you do this, you'll begin to experience the true peace that comes from simply being. Impermanence, embracing change for personal growth. Life is always changing, isn't it? The weather shifts, the seasons change, and even our moods are like waves, rising and falling. Yet, many of us struggle to accept change. We hold on to what's comfortable, what's familiar, even though we know deep down that change is inevitable. But what if we could embrace this change? What if, instead of resisting it, we welcomed it as a natural part of life? In Buddhism, there's a powerful concept called impermanence, or anicca in Pali. It teaches us that everything in life, every moment, every experience, and every object is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. While this might sound like a sad truth, it's actually one of the most freeing lessons we can learn. When we understand that things don't last, we stop clinging to them. We stop fearing the future or regretting the past. We can just be in the moment. Think about your life for a moment. Have you ever experienced something that felt so wonderful, so perfect, that you wished it would never end? Maybe it was a beautiful vacation, a moment of pure joy, or a time when everything seemed to be going right. But then, just like all things, it passed. And with that passing, you may have felt a little sad, or even frustrated, because it was over. This is where the idea of impermanence comes in. When we expect good moments to last forever, we set ourselves up for disappointment. But if we accept that everything is fleeting, we can appreciate the moment for what it is, without fear of losing it. Now, let's flip this around. Think about a difficult time in your life. Maybe it was a loss, a struggle, or a challenge that seemed unbearable. You might have thought at that moment that things would never get better. But, just like everything else, that hardship eventually passed. You grew through it. You learned from it. And now, it's part of your past, no longer holding the same weight as it once did. This is another gift of impermanence. No matter how hard life may seem at times, we know that change is on the horizon. Things will shift. We will change. And in that change, there is growth. But here's the tricky part. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean that we give up on the things that matter to us. It doesn't mean we stop caring about our loved ones or our goals. It means we learn to hold everything lightly without becoming too attached. Attachment is what causes suffering. When we are too attached to a moment, a person, or a possession, we fear losing it. This fear creates anxiety, worry, and sadness. But if we understand that everything is temporary, we can love and cherish without the burden of fear. Take a look at the trees outside. They grow, they bloom, and then they lose their leaves. But do the trees mourn the loss of their leaves? No, they simply move on to the next phase. They trust in the cycle of life, in the natural flow of things. We can learn a lot from nature. The trees don't cling to what they had. They trust in the coming of the next season. In your own life, think about the changes you've experienced. Maybe it was a relationship that ended, or a career path that didn't work out. At the time, it may have felt like the end of the world. But now, looking back, do you see how that change led to new opportunities, new lessons, or new people? Impermanence is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. The end of one thing is simply the beginning of something new. When we accept impermanence, we begin to see life differently. We stop holding on so tightly to the past. We stop worrying so much about the future. And instead, we start living more fully in the present. We can enjoy the good times without clinging to them, and we can face the difficult times without fear, knowing that they, too, will pass. Buddhist teachings encourage us to meditate on impermanence. Take a moment right now and think about something in your life that's changing. It could be something big or small, a relationship, a job, your body, or even your thoughts and feelings. Reflect on how this change is part of the natural flow of life. Notice how, even in the midst of change, there is always an opportunity for growth. One of the most powerful ways to practice accepting impermanence is to meditate on it. Find a quiet space, sit comfortably, and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, think about a change you're currently facing. It could be a positive change, like starting a new project, or a difficult change, like saying goodbye to someone you care about. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that come with that change, without judgment. Then, remind yourself that this moment will pass, just like all moments do. With each breath, let go of your attachment to the outcome, and simply accept what is. This practice can be a powerful tool in your daily life. It helps you to stay grounded in the present moment, instead of getting lost in the past or future. It helps you to accept change, not as something to fear, but as an essential part of your journey. Impermanence also teaches us about the value of time. When we understand that life is short and moments are fleeting, we become more intentional with how we spend our time. We realize that every moment is precious, and we stop taking things for granted. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, working on a personal goal, or simply enjoying the beauty around us, we begin to value the present in a way that we never did before. One way to integrate impermanence into your daily life is to practice gratitude. When you recognize that everything in life is temporary, you begin to appreciate the small things. A simple conversation with a friend, a quiet moment of reflection, or even a beautiful sunset becomes more meaningful. By practicing gratitude, you honor the impermanent nature of life and the preciousness of each moment. But the biggest transformation happens when we let go of our attachment to how we think things should be. We begin to trust the process of life, knowing that every change, every moment, every experience is an opportunity for growth. And this trust in the flow of life brings peace. Remember, impermanence is not something to fear. It's something to accept and embrace. It's the very nature of life itself. By letting go of attachment, by accepting change, and by living fully in the present moment, we can transform our lives. We can stop running from change and start flowing with it. And in that flow, we discover the greatest gift of all, peace and freedom. So, as you go about your day, keep this in mind. Everything is temporary. The highs, the lows, the calm, the chaos, they will all pass. And with each passing moment, you have the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become your best self. Embrace impermanence, and you'll find that life becomes a little lighter, a little brighter, and a lot more meaningful. Karma and ethics, shaping your destiny. Life is a journey, and every step you take, every word you speak, and every thought you have, shapes your path. The choices you make today create the future you live tomorrow. This is the essence of karma, one of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism. But let's break it down simply. What exactly is karma, and how does it shape your destiny? Karma, in its simplest form, means action. Every action you take, whether good or bad, leaves a mark. It's like planting seeds. The kind of seeds you plant today will determine the kind of fruits you'll harvest tomorrow. If you plant kindness, understanding, and compassion, your life will be filled with those very things. If you plant anger, jealousy, and resentment, those will grow in your life as well. This is the law of cause and effect, the core of karma. But karma isn't just about what you do on the outside. It also includes your inner thoughts and intentions. In Buddhism, it's believed that the mind is incredibly powerful. If your thoughts are filled with hatred or greed, even without acting on them, you're still planting harmful seeds. The mind can create good or bad karma with its intentions. That's why ethical living begins with purifying the mind. It's not enough to just act well. Your intentions and thoughts must align with what is good and compassionate. This is the foundation of ethical living in Buddhism. Imagine you're walking through a garden. You see a beautiful flower, and your first thought is, "I wish I could have that flower for myself." This thought may seem harmless, but it's already a form of craving, of desire. That desire can lead to actions that harm others, or even yourself. But if you see the flower and appreciate its beauty without wanting to take it, that moment is pure and free from selfishness. The difference between these two approaches is the difference between creating good karma and bad karma. It's in the subtle thoughts and intentions that lie beneath our actions. Now, karma isn't about punishment or reward. It's not like someone is sitting up there, keeping score of your good and bad deeds. Rather, karma is a natural law, just like the law of gravity. When you throw something up, it will eventually come back down. Similarly, the actions you take will eventually come back to you. If you treat others with kindness, you create an environment of kindness around you. If you live with compassion, compassion will surround you. This is the essence of good karma. But here's the thing, karma isn't always instant. Sometimes the effects of our actions show up immediately, but often they take time. It's like planting a tree. You don't see the fruit right away. Sometimes, it takes years to see the full effect of the seeds you've planted. That's why patience is so important in understanding karma. Even if you can't see the results of your actions right away, trust that they will come. This brings us to the concept of ethics, which is deeply tied to karma. Living ethically isn't about following a set of rules to avoid punishment. It's about living in harmony with the world around you. Ethics in Buddhism teaches us to act with kindness, honesty, and respect for all beings. It encourages us to live with integrity, to make choices that benefit ourselves and others, not just in the short term, but in the long run. This doesn't mean you'll be perfect, none of us are, but it's about striving for balance and peace in your actions. For instance, let's say you're at work and someone takes credit for your idea. It's easy to feel anger or resentment. You might even want to take revenge or tell everyone what really happened. But if you respond with anger, you're not only creating bad karma for that person, but also for yourself. Your heart becomes heavy with bitterness, and your mind becomes clouded with negativity. On the other hand, if you choose to let it go and respond with grace, you're creating good karma, not just for them, but for yourself as well. By acting in line with your values, you free yourself from the cycle of negativity. Living ethically also means understanding the importance of forgiveness. When we hold grudges or seek revenge, we tie ourselves to past hurts. We carry the weight of those negative emotions, and it affects our peace. But when we forgive, we let go of that burden. Forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. It's a way to release the negative karma you've been holding onto and create space for peace and healing. What does this look like in daily life? Think about how you treat others. How do you speak to your friends, your family, even strangers? Do you gossip? Do you judge others? Are you kind and considerate? Every interaction is an opportunity to plant good seeds. It doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. Small actions, like smiling at someone or offering a helping hand, are ways of creating positive karma. On the other hand, every time we speak with anger or act out of selfishness, we plant seeds that will eventually lead to suffering. Sometimes, people might think, why should I be good when others aren't? They don't seem to get punished for their actions. But remember, the universe doesn't work on human timelines. Just because someone seems to escape the consequences of their actions today doesn't mean they will forever. Karma doesn't forget. It just works on its own time. The same way that good deeds may not show immediate rewards, bad actions may not have an immediate penalty, but eventually, they come back. That's why we must trust the process and continue to live with integrity. This concept of karma also applies to how we treat ourselves. Self-care, self-compassion, and self-awareness are all important parts of ethical living. It's easy to get caught up in trying to make others happy, but true peace comes when you honor and take care of yourself. By practicing mindfulness and making choices that nourish your body and mind, you create positive karma for yourself. You show the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. The more we understand the link between our actions, thoughts, and intentions, the more we realize that we have the power to shape our own destiny. Every moment is an opportunity to make a choice, to create the life we want to live. The power lies in your hands, and through small, mindful actions, you can begin to create a future filled with peace, joy, and compassion. It's important to remember that karma isn't about being perfect. It's about being mindful. It's about acknowledging when you've made a mistake and learning from it, not beating yourself up over it. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and understanding that you are always in control of the choices you make. The more aware you are of the impact of your actions, the more you will naturally begin to make choices that are aligned with your values. In the end, the practice of karma and ethics is about living with intention. It's about aligning your actions, thoughts, and words with your highest self. It's about choosing kindness, honesty, and compassion in every interaction, big or small. When you live this way, the universe responds in kind. You create the life you deserve, and more importantly, you become the person you've always meant to be. Compassion and loving kindness, the power of connection. Let me ask you something important. Have you ever truly tried to understand the pain someone else is going through? Have you ever just sat quietly, listening to them without judgment, offering nothing but your presence? In our busy lives, we often forget the simple power of compassion. Yet, it's this very quality that can transform our lives and the lives of those around us. Compassion is more than just a feeling of sympathy or pity for others. It is the deep, heartfelt wish for others to be free from suffering. It goes beyond just offering a kind word or a helping hand. It's an emotional and spiritual connection that comes from understanding, and it starts with understanding yourself. When you learn to be kind to your own heart, you naturally extend that kindness to others. In Buddhism, compassion is one of the highest virtues, and it's closely linked to the practice of loving kindness, or metta. Loving kindness is the unconditional love that doesn't ask for anything in return. It's not about what you can get from others. It's about the joy of giving. When you practice metta, you learn to love all beings, regardless of their flaws or imperfections, including yourself. It's a love that has no boundaries, no limitations, and no expectations. But here's the thing. Compassion isn't just about how you feel. It's about how you act. When you truly understand the suffering of others, you feel the urge to help. But helping doesn't always mean fixing someone's problems. Sometimes it's just being there for them, offering a safe space where they can express themselves freely without fear of judgment. Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer is your presence, your patience, and your kindness. Now, let's look at how this relates to your own life. Have you ever noticed how much better you feel when you show kindness to others? When you help someone, even in a small way, there's a sense of warmth that fills you. It's as if your heart grows a little bigger. That feeling isn't just random. It's the natural result of practicing compassion. The more you give, the more you receive, not in material ways, but in emotional and spiritual richness. When you extend compassion, you begin to heal your own heart. You begin to understand that your happiness is intertwined with the happiness of others. Think about it. How often do you get caught up in your own worries and frustrations? In a world that values success, wealth, and individual achievement, it's easy to forget that the key to true happiness isn't found in possessions or accomplishments. It's found in the simple acts of kindness, in the way we treat those around us. The world can feel lonely at times, and many of us are seeking connection. But connection doesn't come from flashy gestures or grand declarations. It comes from small, everyday acts of compassion. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate compassion is through mindful awareness. When you become more aware of the emotions and struggles of those around you, you begin to see the world through their eyes. This doesn't mean you have to solve their problems, but simply acknowledging their pain with empathy can be a powerful act of love. Think of the people around you, your family, friends, colleagues, even strangers. How often do you pause and really see them? Not just the surface-level interactions, but the deeper struggles they may be facing, The practice of loving-kindness meditation is a powerful tool for developing compassion. It's a simple yet profound practice where you focus your thoughts on sending love and well wishes to yourself, and then gradually expand that love to others, first to those you care about, then to neutral people, and eventually to those with whom you may have conflicts. It's about breaking down the barriers we put between ourselves and others, recognizing that we all share the same human experience. When you wish for others to be happy, free from suffering, and at peace, you start to shift your own mindset. Instead of focusing on differences, you begin to focus on shared humanity. But let's be real, sometimes it's hard to be compassionate. Sometimes people hurt us, or we feel overwhelmed by our own struggles. How do we continue to show kindness in those moments? This is where loving kindness becomes even more essential. When you practice compassion, it doesn't mean you let others take advantage of you, or that you ignore your own needs. Compassion is about setting healthy boundaries while still maintaining kindness. It's about understanding that everyone has their own struggles, and sometimes people act out of their own pain. When we hold on to resentment, anger, or bitterness, it weighs us down. It prevents us from moving forward, and it prevents us from connecting with others in a meaningful way. Letting go of these negative emotions doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior. It simply means freeing yourself from the emotional burden that holding on to anger brings. Compassion is the key to unlocking that freedom. It's about understanding that your peace is more important than holding on to grudges. Now, let's take a moment to think about the power of community. When we come together in compassion, we create a sense of belonging that transcends individual differences. It's easy to feel isolated in today's world, especially when we're constantly surrounded by distractions. But when we engage in acts of kindness and love, we build bridges that connect us to one another. Communities that are built on compassion are stronger, more resilient, and more harmonious. They don't just survive, they thrive. So, what does it mean for you to practice compassion in your own life? It means being intentional with your words, actions, and thoughts. It means choosing love over anger, understanding over judgment, and patience over frustration. It means recognizing the humanity in everyone you encounter and treating them with the same respect, kindness, and care that you would want for yourself. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. To be compassionate is to be truly awake to the world around you. It's about seeing the pain, joy, struggles, and triumphs of others and offering them your support without expecting anything in return. It's about creating a ripple effect of kindness, where one small act of love can inspire others to do the same. And before you know it, that ripple grows, touching more lives and creating a more compassionate world for all. As you continue on this journey of self-improvement and personal growth, remember that compassion isn't just an act, it's a way of being. It's a mindset that, when practiced regularly, becomes second nature. It's the heart of Buddhism, and it's the heart of what it means to be human. So, the next time you're faced with a challenge, whether it's a difficult person or a difficult situation, ask yourself, how can I respond with compassion? The answer may surprise you. Enlightenment and nirvana, the ultimate goal of self-discovery. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a flame. It flickers, dances, and seems alive, doesn't it? Now imagine the moment when the flame quietly goes out. What remains? Is it emptiness, or is it peace? This is one way to understand nirvana, the ultimate goal in Buddhism. A state beyond suffering, beyond desires, and beyond the endless cycle of striving. But let's not complicate it. Enlightenment doesn't mean becoming a saint or performing miracles. It's not some mystical state only a few special people can reach. Enlightenment is simply waking up, seeing life as it truly is without the filters of fear, anger, or attachment. You might wonder, how do I even start such a journey? The truth is, you've already begun. Every time you pause to reflect on your actions, every time you choose kindness over anger, or patience over frustration, you take a small step toward enlightenment. The journey to nirvana begins with a deep understanding of the self. Think about the emotions that rise in you: joy, sadness, anger, fear. Where do they come from? Do they define you? Buddhism teaches that these emotions are like clouds passing across the sky. They may seem powerful, but they are temporary, ever-changing. The real you is the sky itself, vast, still, and untouched by the passing storms. One of the most powerful tools to reach this understanding is meditation. Many people think meditation is about emptying the mind, but it's not. It's about observing the mind. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and simply watch your thoughts as they come and go. Don't judge them, don't cling to them, just watch. Over time, you'll see a pattern. The mind loves to wander. It craves and fears, attaches and avoids. But as you keep observing, you'll begin to notice moments of stillness. In these moments, you're glimpsing the peace that lies at the heart of enlightenment. Another key step is to let go of attachments. This doesn't mean abandoning your family, friends, or possessions. It means changing your relationship with them. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you grip it too tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. Attachments work the same way. Clinging to people, things, or outcomes only creates suffering because everything is impermanent. By learning to appreciate without clinging, you set yourself free. Compassion is also central to this journey. Enlightenment isn't about escaping the world. It's about transforming your relationship with it. When you see others struggling, remember they are just like you, seeking happiness, avoiding pain, and trying to find their way. When you practice kindness, you dissolve the barriers between yourself and others. In doing so, you come closer to the unity and peace that nirvana represents. But what about nirvana itself? Isn't it a lofty goal, something distant and almost unreachable? Not at all. Nirvana isn't a place or a prize. It's a realization. It's the end of suffering, not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop resisting life. It's the moment you realize that peace isn't something you have to find. It's something you've always had within you. Think about the word enlightenment. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The room hasn't changed, but now you can see clearly. Enlightenment is simply the clarity to see things as they are. It's realizing that you don't need to fight the waves of life. You can learn to float on them instead. The Buddha himself described nirvana as the extinguishing of a flame. But this doesn't mean annihilation. It means the end of craving, aversion, and ignorance. The forces that keep us trapped in cycles of suffering. When these forces are extinguished, what remains is pure peace and freedom. Let me share a simple story. A monk once asked the Buddha, "What happens to the enlightened after death? Do they exist, or do they not exist?" The Buddha replied with a question. What happens to a flame when it goes out? Does it go north, south, east, or west? The flame doesn't go anywhere. It simply ceases because the conditions that sustained it no longer exist. Similarly, enlightenment is not about going somewhere. It's about the end of the conditions that create suffering. Enlightenment doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or pain. Even the enlightened experience physical discomfort or loss. The difference is how they respond. Instead of reacting with fear, anger, or attachment, they meet life with acceptance, wisdom, and compassion. Take a moment to reflect on your life. Are there habits, fears, or desires that keep you stuck in cycles of unhappiness? Imagine what it would feel like to let go of them. Imagine what it would feel like to be free, not free from life, but free within life. This is the promise of nirvana. It's not about escaping the world. It's about seeing the world clearly. It's about living with a heart unburdened by fear and a mind unclouded by illusions. It's about finding peace, not in some distant future, but right here, right now. You may not feel enlightened today, and that's okay. Enlightenment isn't a switch you flip. It's a gradual unfolding. Every moment of mindfulness, every act of kindness, and every effort to let go brings you closer to this state of freedom. The beauty of this journey is that it's uniquely yours. No one else can walk it for you, but you're never alone. The teachings of the Buddha, the wisdom of those who have walked this path before, and your own inner strength are your guides. So, take the next step, whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's meditating for a few minutes, reflecting on your attachments, or practicing compassion, know that each step matters. Enlightenment isn't reserved for the few. It's possible for anyone willing to wake up to life as it truly is. As we end this part, remember, enlightenment isn't an end, it's a beginning. It's the start of living fully, freely, and peacefully. And it's not as far away as it seems. Look within. You might just find that the peace you're searching for has been there all along. The journey ahead, applying Buddhist wisdom to everyday life. As you sit here, listening to these words, I ask you, what will you take from this journey? Will the wisdom you've encountered here become just fleeting thoughts, or will they transform into actions that change your life? The teachings of Buddhism are not locked away in temples or ancient texts. They live in your breath, your steps, your choices. The path to becoming your best self is not a destination far away. It is found in the smallest of moments. And today, we talk about how to take this wisdom off the cushion and into the world around you. Life is your meditation. Each morning, as the sun rises, take a moment to breathe deeply and feel gratitude for the day ahead. It doesn't matter if the day seems daunting or ordinary. Start it with a pause. Buddhism teaches us that every moment is an opportunity to begin again. The past does not define you, and the future has not yet arrived. All you have is now. As you move through your day, remember this. Life itself is your meditation. When you wash the dishes, feel the water on your hands. When you walk, feel your feet touching the earth. These simple acts, done with mindfulness, will ground you. They will remind you that peace is not somewhere else. It is right here, if you choose to notice it. Transform struggles into lessons. The world is filled with challenges, and no one escapes them. But Buddhism teaches us that suffering is not a punishment. It is a teacher. When things go wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this moment help me grow? Let me tell you a simple story. There was once a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbors came to console him, saying, "What bad luck." But the farmer simply replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with 2 wild horses. The neighbors exclaimed, "What good fortune!" And again, the farmer said, "Maybe." Later, the farmer's son broke his leg while trying to ride one of the wild horses. The neighbors offered their sympathy, but the farmer only said, "Maybe." Soon after, soldiers came to the village, taking all the young men to war, except the farmer's son, who was spared because of his injury. This story teaches us that we cannot see the full picture of life. What seems like misfortune may lead to blessings, and what seems like blessings may teach hard lessons. Let go of judgment, and let life unfold. Cultivate compassion in every interaction. Compassion is not reserved for grand gestures. It lives in your words, your actions, and even in your thoughts. When someone is rude or unkind, instead of reacting with anger, pause and ask yourself, what pain are they carrying? How can I respond in a way that eases their suffering, rather than adding to it? Buddhism reminds us that we are all interconnected. When you offer kindness to others, you heal not just them but also yourself. Practice non-attachment. One of the greatest challenges in life is letting go. Letting go of expectations, of grudges, of material things. But here is the truth. Everything is impermanent. The joy you feel today will pass, and so will the pain. This is not a reason to despair. It is a reason to cherish each moment fully. Non-attachment does not mean indifference. It means experiencing life fully without clinging to it. When you love someone, love them deeply, but do not try to control them. When you succeed, celebrate, but do not let it define you. And when you fail, grieve, but do not let it consume you. Your inner light. You might still wonder, can I truly become my best self? The answer lies in a Zen saying, you are already complete. You just don't see it yet. Inside you is a light that cannot be dimmed. This light is your awareness, your kindness, your resilience. No matter what happens, this light will guide you if you let it. The power of choice. Every day, you make countless choices. Some are small, like what to eat for breakfast. Others are big, like how to treat the people around you. These choices shape your life. Will you choose fear or courage? Resentment or forgiveness? Distraction or mindfulness? Remember, no matter how far you feel from the path, you can always return to it. The teachings of Buddhism are here to remind you that it's never too late to begin again. A final message. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with one final thought. This path is not about perfection. It's about practice. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to peace and wisdom. Thank you for walking this journey with wisdom woven. Before you go, I have one last request. Did you know that so many viewers watch our content, but only 0.2% subscribe? Imagine the impact we could create together if more people joined us on this path of self-discovery. So, if you found value in these teachings, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can spread this wisdom and help others awaken to their best selves. Now, the path is yours to walk. Go forward with clarity, with compassion, and with courage. The journey ahead is waiting for you. Are you ready?